Hi guys, so this time I will discuss the topic Laplace transform of differential. So we are going to solve differential equation using the Laplace transform. So let's say you were given the nth derivative of a t. You will have to find the Laplace transform of the given nth derivative. So the general formula for the Laplace transform is this one. You have the Laplace transform of the given function of t equated to the integral of e raised to negative st multiplied by the given function of t dt, wherein your limits is always from 0 to infinity. Now, we have a shortcut formula for any nth derivative. If you will get the Laplace transform of any nth derivative, you can follow this formula. For example, you are given the nth derivative and you will have to solve for the Laplace transform. You will have this formula. You will have s raised to n, wherein you can find that on your nth derivative multiplied by the f of s. Tapos, if you will notice, si s, pababa ng pababa yung exponent. So, for example, you are given a third derivative. So, si s magsisimula sa s cubed, susundan ni s squared, then susundan ni s, hanggang sa makarating ka sa s raised to 0. Meaning to say that is equal to 1. So, dapat yung last term mo, walang s. Then, how about dun sa kasama ni s? So, first term ni s raised to n, ang kasama niya is f of s. The big F of s. So, that is the Laplace transform of the f of t. Then for the second term, it will start by f of 0. Then the third term will be f prime of 0. Then pataas ng pataas hanggang sa dumating ka sa f raised to n minus 1 of 0. So kung kanina, if you were given third derivative, so that is f of 3 minus 1 of 0. So that will be f2 of 0. So that's f second of 0. So the second derivative of the function wherein t is 0. So para mas madali, we'll try to solve for the given first derivative and the second derivative using the general formula. Titignan natin ngayon kung masusunod yung shortcut formula natin. So first, example is, let's say you have the first derivative of the function of t, we will have to solve for the Laplace transform ito. So ang sabi, the general formula will be this. So you must have the integral of e raised to negative st, then the given f of t. In this case, our given is the first derivative of t. First derivative of the function of t. So that is dt from 0 to infinity. In this case, we will have to use the by parts method or the integration by parts method. We will have to set the u as e raised to negative st. Then, of course, your du there is negative s e raised to negative st dt. Okay. Then, for the dv, you will have the first derivative of the f of t dt. So, you have to integrate this one. So, syempre, pag in-integrate mo sa first derivative, ang lalabas is the function of t. So, that will be f of t. So, following your formula for the integration by parts, that's uv minus the integral of v du. So, you will have e raised to negative st f of t. Tama po. So, that will be e raised to negative st multiplied by the f of t, then minus b du, minus and negative, that is plus, tapos s is constant since we have dt, so that's plus s, then the integral of e raised to negative st, then f of t dt. Naintindihan niyo po. Now, this part is the general formula for your Laplace of the f of t, wherein si Laplace of the f of t is equivalent to f of s, or the big F, then an equation of s. Okay, so this part will be s f of s. So this, you have to evaluate it from 0 to infinity. Now, evaluating this from 0 to infinity, we will now have e raised to negative s multiplied by infinity, then the f of infinity, minus e raised to negative s multiplied to 0, then f of 0, okay, plus s multiplied by the f of s. So e raised to negative infinity is equivalent to 0, then e raised to 0 is equivalent to 1. So this will be 0, this will be minus f of 0 plus s f of s. So now, using your general formula, the Laplace transform of the first derivative of the f of t will be s multiplied by s multiplied by f of s minus f of 0. So this will be the formula for the first derivative of the f of t. Now, if you are going to use the shortcut formula, you were given the first derivative. Tama po. So you will have the first derivative, then you will have to get the Laplace. So ang sabi, your s first kung ano yung value ni n. So that's s raised to 1. So that will be multiplied by f of s. Tapos, susundan siya pababa ng pababa. So, s raised to 1, pababa, that's s raised to 0. Tapos, yung kasunod niya must be multiplied to f of 0. Tapos, mag-i-stop ka, syempre, hanggang kay s raised to 0 lang kasi this will be 1. Okay? So, if you simplify this will be s, then f of s minus f of 0. This will be the same as the answer kapag ginamit mo yung general formula ng Laplace transform. So, pwede mong gamitin yung shortcut if you do understand how to use the shortcut formula. And you may also use the long method, which is the general formula for the Laplace transform. So, let's say we are going to solve for the Laplace transform of the second derivative of the f of t. So using your general formula again, that is the integral of e raised to negative st, then the given is the second derivative of t. So that's second derivative of t dt, wherein the limits is from 0 to infinity. So again, using by parts, you will have to set the u as e raised to negative st. Then du is negative s e raised to negative st dt. Now our dv is the second derivative of f of t dt. Now to get the v, so makakancel yung isang derivative, so that will be the first derivative of the f of t. Now using your formula for the by parts, that's uv, so you will have e raised to negative st multiplied by the f of t first derivative minus the integral of v du, since this is negative, so this will be plus s, then the integral of e raised to negative st, then f prime of t dt. Now, if you will notice, ito yung sinolve natin kanina. This one. So, that is the integral of e raised to negative st. f prime of t dt. And the value of that equation is s multiplied to f of s minus f of 0. So this will be plus s multiplied to s, then f of s minus f of 0. Tapos ito, i-evaluate natin using the limits of from 0 to infinity. So you will have to evaluate that using the limits. So that is e raised to negative s multiplied to infinity, then f prime of infinity minus e raised to negative s multiplied to 0, then f prime of 0. Then knowing that e raised to negative infinity will be 0, so this part will be 0. Then e raised to 0 will be 1. So ang matitira lang dito is minus f prime of 0. So this will be minus f prime of 0 plus, simplifying this part, this will be s squared, then multiplied to f of s minus s multiplied by f of 0. So the Laplace transform of the second derivative of f of t will be s squared, then f of s minus s, then f of 0 minus f prime of 0. So that is your answer using the general formula. Now we will try to follow the shortcut formula. This will be the Laplace transform of the second derivative of the f of t. The value of n is 2, so that will be s squared. Tapos pababa, s raised to 1, then s raised to 0. So mag-stop tayo sa s raised to 0. Then the first term must be multiplied to f of s. The second term must be multiplied to f of 0. Then si f of 0 pataas naman yung derivative. So that's yung susunod niya is first derivative ni f of 0. Okay. So this will be 1. So you will have s squared, then f of s minus s, then f of 0 minus f prime of 0. So if you will notice, you have the same answer. So again, you may solve this using the long method, which is the general formula, or you may solve that using the shortcut formula if you understand the shortcut formula. Okay, so that's for the derivation of the Laplace transform of the first and the second derivative. Now we are going to apply it sa differential equation. Okay, example number 1. Let's say you have a differential equation given, which is the y double prime minus 10 of the y prime plus 9y equals 5t. Then wherein the value of the y of 0 is negative 1 and the value of the y prime of 0 is 2. Now you are going to solve for the Laplace transform of the given differential equation. Okay, so the Laplace transform of the second derivative is that the value of n is 2, so you will have s squared, then minus s, then minus s of 0. Tama? Then the first term must be multiplied by the f of s, then the second term must be multiplied by the f of 0, then the third term must be multiplied by the f prime of 0. So, ito pa lang yung equivalent nung first term natin sa differential equation. So, this is the Laplace transform of the second derivative. Then, next is minus 10. Then, the Laplace transform of the first derivative. The value of n is 1. So, that is s raised to 1 minus s raised to 0. So, the first term again must be multiplied to f of s. And the second term must be multiplied by the f of 0. Plus 9, then the Laplace transform of y must be f of s. Equated ngayon sa Laplace transform ni 5t. Okay? Balik tayo dun sa basic ni Laplace transform. So, 5, that is 1 factorial over s raised to n plus 1. So, that is 1 over s squared. So, you will have 5 over s squared. So if you will notice, our given is y of 0 and y prime of 0. That is the same as f of 0. Kaya lang kasi our equation is in terms of function of y. Tama po. Then, you will have to use f of 0 as y of 0, then f prime of 0 as y prime of 0. So, isa-substitute na natin yun yung value ni y of 0 and y prime of 0. So, you will now have s squared, then f of s minus s multiplied by the y of 0 or the f of 0, that is negative 1. Tama. Next is minus s of 0, which is 1, multiplied by the y prime of 0, that is 2. Minus 10. Then s, f of s, minus s raised to 0 is 1, then the f of 0 is negative 1. So this will be plus 1. Plus 9, then f of s. Equal ngayon siya sa 5 over s squared. So, ang ititira lang natin sa side nito ay lahat ng may f of s. Tapos, lahat ng walang f of s, ililipat natin sa kabila. So, you will now have s squared, then f of s, then minus 10s multiplied by the f of s, plus 9, then f of s. Equated ngayon sa 5 over s squared. Tapos, ang walang f of s dito is positive s pag nilipat mo sa kabila. That's negative s. Then, this will be minus 2 pag nilipat sa kabila, plus 2. Tapos, ito plus 1. Then, multiplied by negative 10. That's negative 10 pag nilipat sa kabila, plus 10. Okay? So, lahat yan. Then, we are going to simplify this equation. So, we will have a denominator of s squared, and that will be 5, tapos s squared multiplied to s, that's minus s cubed, plus 2s squared, plus 10s squared. So, siya ngayon ay hindi kasya. Hindi tayo sa baba. So, siya ngayon ay over s squared. So, that's negative s cubed plus 12s squared plus 5. That is equated to, ika-factor out natin si f of s ngayon. So, ang matitira ay s squared minus 10s plus 9. Now, to get the Laplace transform of the given differential equation, you have to divide both equation by s squared minus 10s plus 9. So, ang mangyayari, ang magiging equation mo is negative s cubed plus 12s squared plus 5 over s squared multiplied 2s squared minus 10s plus 9. So this will be the equivalent f of s. Kaya lang, we know that f of s is already the Laplace transform. Okay, so this will be our answer for the Laplace transform of the y double prime minus 10y prime plus 9y equals 5t. That is not solving the original equation of the y. Ito yung Laplace transform lang ng given differential equation. If you are going to solve for the original equation of the y, that is a different topic kasi dadaan pa tayo ng inverse Laplace transform. Naintindihan po? Okay. Next tayo sa example number 2. Okay, example number 2 is 2y double prime plus 3y prime minus 2y equals t e raised to negative 2t, wherein y of 0 is equal to 0, y prime of 0 equals negative 2. So again, using your shortcut formula, that's 2, then the Laplace transform of the second derivative, that is s squared, then f of s minus s multiplied by f of 0 minus f prime of 0 plus 3. The Laplace transform of the first derivative is s, then f of s minus f of 0 minus 2. Then the Laplace transform of y is simply f of s. Now, how to solve for the Laplace transform of t e raised to negative 2t. So, babalik tayo dun sa properties ng Laplace transform. It can be multiplied to t or multiplied to e raised to negative 2t. So, syempre dun tayo sa e raised to negative 2t. So, the Laplace transform of t is 1 over s squared. Then, lahat ng s, papalitan natin ng s plus 2. So, that is equated to 1 over s plus 2 squared. Okay, so the Laplace transform of t e raised to negative 2t is equivalent to 1 over the quantity of s plus 2 squared. So now we are going to substitute the value of the y of 0 and the y prime of 0 in f of 0 and then f prime of 0. So, multiplying this, you will have 2s squared, then f of s minus 2 s, then the value of f of 0 is 0 minus 2, then the value of f prime of 0 is negative 2. Next is plus 3 s f of s minus 3, then the f of 0 is 0 minus 2 f of s, then equated to 1 over s plus 2 squared. Okay, so this will be 0, this will be 0. So lahat ng f of s, factor out si lahat ng f of s, tapos yung walang f of s, lilipat natin sa kabila. So ang walang f of s ay si negative 2 multiplied by negative 2, that is positive 4. So lilipat natin siya doon, that will be negative 4. Tama? So that will be 1 over s plus 2 squared, positive 4, lipat sa kabila, minus 4. Okay? So that will be equivalent to s plus 2 squared, 1 minus 4 multiplied by s plus 2 squared. Okay, so factoring out your f of s, lahat na may f of s, so that's 2s squared. Next is plus 3s. Next is minus 2. So, i-divide natin siya ngayon dun sa kasama ni f of s to get the equation of the Laplace transform. So, the f of s now is 1 minus 4. Simplify the s plus 2 squared. That is s squared plus 4s plus 4 over our denominator now is s plus 2 squared multiplied to 2s squared plus 3s minus 2. Simplify your numerator. You will now have the f of s as negative 4s squared, then minus 16s, then 1 minus 16. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16, then plus 1 is minus 15 all over s plus 2 squared multiplied to 2s squared plus 3s minus 2. So this will be our final answer for the given differential equation, which is 2y double prime plus 3y prime minus 2y equals t e raised to negative 2t. Naintindihan po? Okay. So next tayo for the last example, which is example number 3. Okay, for our last example, which is example number 3, that is y double prime plus 6y prime plus 15y equals 2 sine of 3t, wherein your y of 0 is negative 1, your y prime of 0 is negative 4. So again, using your shortcut formula, the Laplace of the second derivative is s squared multiplied to f of s minus s multiplied to f of 0 minus f prime of 0. Next is plus 6y prime, wherein you will have plus 6 multiplied to s, then f of s minus f of 0. Then next is plus 15y, which is plus 15, then the Laplace transform of y is f of s. Now you have to solve for the Laplace transform of the 2 sine 3t, that is 2 multiplied by 3 all over s squared plus 9. Okay, so that will be 6 over s squared plus 9. Now we will substitute the value of y of 0 and the y prime of 0. So we will now have s squared, then f of s, then s multiplied by the f of 0, which is negative 1. So that's negative 1 multiplied by negative s, that is positive s, then minus f prime of 0, that is negative 4 multiplied by negative, that is positive 4. Next is plus 6s, then f of s, then you will have f of 0, that is negative 1 multiplied by negative, that is positive 1 multiplied by 6. So you will have plus 6. Next is plus 15 f of s. Equal siya ngayon kay 6 over s squared plus 9. Then again, lahat ng walang f of s, ililipat natin sa kabila. So that will be 6 over s squared plus 9. First is s, so that's minus s. Next is 4, that's minus 4. Next is 6, that's minus 6. So, si f of s, factor out. Ang matitira ngayon is s squared plus 6s plus 15. Okay. So, try to simplify this first. You will now have s squared plus 9. Then 6 minus s multiplied to s squared plus 9. Instead of having negative 4, negative 6 na magkahiwalay, this will be negative 10 multiplied to s squared plus 9. Okay, that is equivalent to f of s multiplied to s squared plus 6s plus 15. Okay, now for your f of s, you will now have a denominator of s squared plus 9 multiplied to s squared plus 6s plus 15. Then simplify your numerator, that is 6 minus s cubed minus 9s minus 10s squared minus 90. Okay, so you will now have an f of s of negative s cubed minus 10s squared minus 9s, and that is 6 minus 90, that's minus 84. Am I correct? All over s squared plus 9 multiplied by s squared plus 6s plus 15. And that is the Laplace transform of y double prime plus 6y prime plus 15y equated to 2 sine of 3t. Naintindihan niyo po? So that is the topic, Laplace transform of differential. Thank you and God bless.